Papa John's is pretty slow tonight.
All right, there we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. It's been a minute since we came back up, and there's a couple of checks I forgot to do. I know you should be able to hear us now coming through the live stream, and unfortunately, we've been talking about the water problem for like about 15 minutes.
We're going to rehash a little bit of that. So,
but we started off the show with, hold on this. Wait a second. And then we said, hello, welcome back. We're Meade County, Meade Truth.
we talked about...
And then we went inauguration. And
we talked about the inauguration night. Everyone got sworn in tonight. Lots of Republican faces up on stage, which was an awesome thing. And then we got into, now that these guys are and ladies are all sworn in and they're part, and it's their job now. There's some issues. There's some issues that are right here on their doorstep that's been here for a few days, and now they need to go, find out what's going on. I'm not expecting them to, fix the problem because the water district, for instance, is not.
I'm expecting them to fix the problem.
I'm expecting them to find out what the problem is and insist that the water district fixes the problem. Well, if we need to get more money, that's where our government comes in and says, "Hey, we'll help you get the money to fix it."
What are you going to say, Joe?
Well, the first thing is you got to find out what the problem is. The second thing you have to do is have to communicate the problem so that people can trust. I mean, right now there's a high level of mendacity in the air.
Well, Troy,
would you define that word for me?
Yeah, mendacity.
Like,
is it?
I mean, I can't say for sure that the Meade County Water District is lying to us, but I know they're not telling us the truth.
Now, Joe, we can't speculate that.
Well, hold on. I'm not speculating.
But here's what I can tell you that's truthful.
I can go off my experience in life, and I can suggest to you that on December the 1st, 2022.
Well, that'd make this an opinion-based show then.
No, these are facts.
Okay, give me a fact.
December the 1st, 2022, there was a lot of people in Meade County using water. Okay. On December the 2nd, there was a lot of people in Meade County using water, and same thing happened all the way through there. Something happened. Okay. Now you can. What I'm saying is you can make an excuse and say, well, we don't know what happened. What I'm saying is that we don't know what happened is not an excuse. It's actually an explanation. I'm trying to find out what happened, why it is that we are now struggling to fill our tanks. Okay. There's what happens in an information vacuum is people start making it up. They start saying, well, my common sense tells me that this is what happened. So they start to make things up. And then all of a sudden, by the time it gets out to the third or fourth person out there, it doesn't have any relationship to reality at all.
Well, can I ask you a question? Does Doe Valley have their water running again now? Because I have pressure at my house, and I'm further down from you.
Personally, I have pressure because I'm one of the lower ones. I'm down by the lake. My house actually sits very low. And so when the pressure, when the weather is cut off, when the water is cut off the Doe Valley, when we don't have any water in our tank, there's still water in the lines. And so I'm one of the ones that gets to use it the longest because...
Yeah, but is your pressure the same?
So here's my question.
The pressure's not the same.
I got it, but you got the water coming that's still clean. So do you have to keep boiling for like 2 weeks longer past the people who get the fresh water that comes back in? Because the water in the line still is in the line. And this was a conversation Mark and I were having. How long do you boil water for?
Well, right now you boil water. Okay, everybody in Meade County needs to be boiling water, except for Muldrow and Brandenburg. They need to be boiling water because
no. I'm listening. Keep going.
If you're drinking it or if you're using it for food consumption, yes. I don't use my water for that. I use we have a filter that we drink the water from, and so we're using our filter to drink. I am brushing my teeth in it, but what I'm getting to is that's not the issue. I think the big issue going forward is going to be very simple. We need leadership from our county government. I want to make sure that you're clear about this. The county judge executive has no responsibility for the operational capacity or operational dictates of what happens in a utility. Okay, that's not his function in the world. But what is his function in the world is he represents the people of Meade County, and now this is an issue that's affecting all the people of Meade County. And so the first thing I think that our judge executive is going to do is he's going to get control of this, the information. He can't get control of the problem. He doesn't know what the problem is yet. And if we don't have people that can very simply to a fifth grader explain what the problem is, then we need.
Are you trying to say our judge is a fifth grader?
No, I'm saying to you that we have to be able to tell people what the problem is, why this problem happened. And we what we can't say is that what Mr. Piles.
You're saying, okay, hold on. 'Cause you're saying we need to break the information down in such a way that everybody can understand it.
And Mr. Pyle is the general manager of the Meade County Water
I was
District,
going
right?
to come to that, but the thing is that
Just so people out there know.
they're saying what Meade County Water District is saying right now is that no one's at fault for this. And what I'm saying to you is I know that's not true. That I can't. I mean, I don't know who's at fault. I don't know who's primarily at fault or
Well, I know.
secondarily at fault, tertiarily at fault.
I know that
somebody is at fault.
Well, I got you. Okay, so not to point fingers or be the show that points fingers and lays blame. I was excited to hear, Troy closed out the inauguration with a few words. He was very short and sweet, which I think is emblematic of his long service, because typically when you're the incumbent of an organization, you're short and you're brevity. When you're the outgoing, you get a little bit more time because you just completed a command, right? So in Troy's brevity tonight, he sounded affirmed and affixed to the problems that were at hand as he addressed the audience and said, I already know that I have a lot of tasks on my plate that have affected our county, and I'm ready to go to work.
I think his first task though, is to get in front of the information train.
Well,
it's not. It's not.
I'm not going to dictate how he goes about it, but I'm just saying that he sounded affirm and affixed that he knew very well what was affecting the county and that he was ready to get to work. And that, how he goes about that is his way. You know what I mean? But he is the judge, and I think I'm looking forward to, as everybody's going to be riding him the whole way through the process. Even you are, Joe.
No, I'm not riding him right now.
No, but everybody's going to make him be accountable.
What I want him to do is, I think this is a great opportunity for him to demonstrate quickly, very early in his term, like the very first week that he serves as judge executive, that he is going to do things differently. He's going to be upfront with people. He's going to talk to them.
I agree.
I think the radio station is a great tool. I think this is a great tool. I think that we need to be upfront with people, explaining what happened.
Yeah.
And the first thing he has to do is find out what happened. He has to grab.
Well, I think he's he's probably going to do that. Yeah.
He needs to find out what happened and then figure out, okay, well, how do we address this? How can we fix it in the short term? What's our long-term fixes? And all of this needs to be made public. It doesn't need to be hidden.
I think even my biggest concerns with the water, not just the fact that drinking, right? I mean, I'm used to being without water. It's a Texas thing. We lose water lines because they don't bury them that deep. We get cold down there sometimes.
Oh, see, we grew up on a cistern here in Meade County, so it's.
But not everybody's used to that, and I get that, Joe.
No.
I think my bigger concerns for water consumption would be the ability for our fire department to react and respond in the event of a house fire, because this is the worst time of year. I think you probably have the highest volume of house fires that are caused because of heating and
Christmas trees.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think the majority of our fire, and at least it used to be, they used to be all tank trucks, right? They're not pumping trucks.
They have tank trucks, but you're not going to put out a 3,600 square foot home with a tank truck.
No, you'd have to have multiple tank trucks. No. But I mean, that's. But I think that's a, that's obviously a concern. But again, a big portion of the fire department comes from these other municipalities and such. But
I'm not representing Doe Valley here, but I will tell you that the Doe Valley people are
upset,
fit to be tied over this, the discussion ranges basically from, well, what happens if we do have a fire? What little bit of water we do have is now going to be gone for that for how many hours? Or somebody's house just going to burn down because we can't we can't do anything about it. I'm sitting there watching it burn. I can't even put my hose on it. To really what they're really most upset about is the lack of communication.
So I'm going to communicate for you. I've been in this situation before, and if you're sitting at home and you're watching this or you watch it later, I don't care. If you're concerned about the water, the one thing you need to do is take one of your bathtubs, and maybe you only have one bathtub, but you need to fill it full of water. That is your water reservoir for little things. And this is one of these things where we learn as people that how much we actually appreciate water is when you just leave that tap on and let it run down the drain to do dishes. You learn to to do dishes with a smaller amount of water. You learn to brush your teeth with a smaller amount of water. You learn to shave with a smaller amount of water. And you can do it. But to be safe and precautionary, the best thing I can tell anybody to do in our community is if there is a concern, it's going to take several days. And given the fact that nobody's coming back to work until after the new year and government offices don't open up until the 1st, to be able to coordinate.
That's a different level of the problem, right?
Yeah,
there.
no, I know.
I mean, the Meade County Water District should have went into an emergency mode like that Monday morning after Christmas. That should have been in emergency mode. Everyone's coming to work. I don't care that you got the day off.
Yeah, well, I would hope that Judge Koch will get after that too and find out. But at the end of the day, what you can do, and you're hearing it here, is fill up your tub with water if you're concerned. If your pressure isn't on and you got a little bit of pressure, go in and use what water you have to fill up your tub so that you've got water available in the event that those lines do empty.
What I want to know is when what's the ETA of coming off of all this? Well, I mean, when are we gonna? I mean, are we gonna go through this weekend, another holiday weekend?
The reason I was late, I'm running into Keith. He's the general manager of Doe Valley, and he's supposed to be on vacation, but he's not on vacation. Okay, he's in the office working. He's still working tonight. He was delivering pizza to our utility workers in Doe Valley who are out trying to wrestle with this problem live right now.
I'm surprised they haven't changed their logo on Meade County Water. Meade County Water District is committed to providing our customers with safe, clean, and reliable supply of potable drinking water. And in doing so, we'll monitor, improve, and protect the wastewater system, deliver the highest quality possible. So they got to change their motto, I think.
Well, see, something's happened. Like I said, there's been some kickback from Hardin County. Apparently, Hardin County is tired of us publicly suggesting that they've cut off Meade County Water District. Because that was what we were told just a couple of days ago, that part of the problem was that Hardin County and Jefferson County cut off Hardin County, and Hardin County cut off Meade County, and now we're running out of water. Now, what I'm saying to you is that apparently that is not true.
I'm surprised that they don't have something posted on their main page about the current status of the water. I'm on their main page right now. It says their water quality. They have download their most recent report, which doesn't relate to the system-wide outages. It says, okay, wait, there it is. So, you got to go to customer service, system-wide boil advisory, click to view. It's not. This should be the banner across their front page, not a memo that you got to click 15 clicks to get to.
That's an issue. I mean, because
it's an issue, but it's a forgivable issue. I can understand them not being communication specialists. But the thing is,
but every big company, they're a multi-million-dollar company. They should have a public affairs specialist.
They have to have that person.
Well, they're going to hire him now, I guess. But
for a once-in-a-lifetime event? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Why would you have that for the water district has not had a problem like this before? And that's part of what I'm getting to.
Well, that we know of.
Well, hold on.
There's always things that happen.
Well, what I'm saying is that we've never gone dry. Okay, the system hasn't gotten to the point where it loses pressure to the point we can't even get water through the line.
I get what you're saying, Joe. You're talking about we literally ran out of water. How does that happen? Versus we've been a long-lasting running. So I get what you're saying. You're saying, do we have a water problem because we have an issue between the relationship between Hardin and Meade? Do we have a water problem because we have a malfunction within the infrastructure that just rose up and showed itself? Which is possible. It's all mechanical and hydraulic pressures and all this other stuff, and stuff fails. Just like power company. You can't blame the power company when a big storm comes and the power lines go out. Fortunately, we didn't break any main water lines and have a wastewater problem.
Actually, I just saw that there was a leak or a main break found out towards Painville. I saw that in one of the other...
Well, that would make sense.
As they were out looking for leaks and things that were coming out of this, they found something.
But the goodness in a main leak is you've got a shutoff valve somewhere in between the line where you can stop that for a temporary time. But when you have a complete outage, which I think is what Joe's trying to point out, is that, okay, how is that possible that you don't have, and back to their motto, and I'll read it again,
Well, these tanks have been allowed to drain.
I understand that, but I'm saying their motto, if when you go to Meade County Water District, and the first thing they say, providing our customers with safe, clean, and reliable supply of potable drinking water, they've just gone past their own information statement. And your argument, if I'm hearing you correctly, is we have a communication problem.
I don't want to mock them. Okay, I don't. That's not.
No, I'm not mocking them, but we need more information.
I know their motto sucks right now. I got that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what I'm getting to is here's what I'm getting to, is that they're saying that no one is responsible for this problem. That we have. And here's the thing. How did we get to the point where we realize we don't have enough water brought into the county to service the county? This is something that should happen gradually over a long period of time. And you sit there and you're watching it on your meters here and you're saying, I used to have excess capacity of 27%. Now I've got only 7% excess capacity.
Well, Joe, I even said this earlier before we got the audio back on. How did we spend millions of dollars expanding water lines if we didn't have the supply means to supply the lines? So to your point, if we're extending lines and services, and you don't have capacity, at what point was there something misplaced? Because it's great that you're adding new customers and that you've got a revenue build from that line that was bought with these funds that were generated from state level dollars sent down to county to help support countywide initiatives. Got it. But if you infrastructurally had a supply issue to pump water to and through all of these lines, then we have a bigger communication problem. So,
right now in Doe Valley, there's 2 water tanks. One of the water tanks is not functioning. It was taken offline earlier this year for maintenance.
Heck, you guys got a problem with the dam too, don't you?
That's a different issue.
I'm not going there, but if that goes...
Don't get people confused about the dam, because that's a different infrastructure issue, and it's a different challenge. And we have to get the state and the U.S. Corps of Engineers involved in figuring out all the little intricacies of getting it fixed. But the water issue now, I mean, something inside the Doe Valley will happen between the board of directors of Doe Valley and the general manager of Doe Valley is going to be this discussion about, well, why is that great, big, nice, pretty water tower, it's completely plumb empty? Why is that? And so there's going to have to be some discussion about that, because that thing should have been filled with water. This other water tank is getting low. We just transfer from this one for a while.
But
Go ahead, Mark.
I think we're putting the
cart before the horse?
The cart before the horse right now is, one, we need to get water pressure restored everywhere, and that's the first priority.
Let me stop you right there.
No,
that's
no,
the
no,
problem.
don't stop me.
They're saying they can't do it.
No, they can do it.
No, they're telling people privately that they can't do that. This problem's going to be like for weeks getting fixed.
Well,
it's not going to be like one night we just turn off the water and we refill our tanks, and tomorrow it's all back online. We just keep refilling our tanks. Something's wrong.
Well, what they're saying, what this press release here from today says, is that they said, due to circumstances beyond our control, stop. Now, let me speak, Joe.
I've already read it.
Okay, I'm going to say it again because then we're going to discuss it. Okay, but let me say it. What's read here? Due to circumstances beyond our control, customer demand exceeded our ability to provide the water needed. That's what caused our water tank levels and water pressure to drop. Unfortunately, we are not alone in handling these emergency issues. Meade County purchases water from Hardin County, Hardin County Water District 1, and contrary to what you may have heard or read, Hardin County has not cut off our water supply or intentionally limited our system in any way. This water district was trying to manage their own supply during this crisis, and that made it difficult for us to pump an adequate amount of water to Meade County. Hardin County has been a big help in our recovery, as well as collaboration with Kentucky Rural Water and Louisville Water Company. So what this is saying is we get water from other counties, from Hardin County specifically, who also gets water from Louisville, right? So it's a big network. I don't know why we don't just buy our water from Louisville. seems like we just cut out the middleman if we could just
Why
run the
can't we
pipe.
just pump right out of the Ohio River?
Well, we can, but you have to put we have to put the infrastructure in place. So that's
I
a
got it.
possibility.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, that's what Louisville does. Louisville pulls water out of Ohio,
that's
and then
right.
they have
Filter
one
it.
of the best filtering systems in the world. Louisville's
Technology's there.
Louisville has been, by far, has been considered one of the cleanest water systems in all of the United States and in the world, and in a lot of ways, and one of the oldest ones in the United States. But it's we need to so yes, the issue is we didn't get enough water. We couldn't pull enough water from Hardin County to fill our tanks at the speed. Now that to me is telling me a little bit of something, right? The issue is we don't have control of our destiny when it comes to water pressure.
Well, this goes back to the original conversation we had when we started getting involved in an election. We don't have the infrastructure to support the growth that's happening right now.
Or the growth that needs to happen.
Well, the growth that needs to happen. So you're already identifying the systemic problems. This is why we all got behind Troy. This is in his lane. So like you said, Joe, I think he's going to sit down with all the people. He's going to find out what is the problem, because you can't do anything. And he said this numerous times in his speeches. You can't do anything. He's not going to go throw a bunch of Band-Aids at something. He's going to find the long-term solution to the near-term problem, not a near-term solution that creates long-term problems.
Right.
He's clearly said that throughout his campaign. Now, to get after that, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be probably an amount of time that we have to learn to adapt to our new surroundings until the right infrastructure can be put in place so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, because once you identify it, now you have to fund it.
Yeah.
Now you have to build it. And then once it's built, then we'll all be able to say, okay.
Now, if that means he's going to make everybody mad, I guarantee you, if Troy says that you have they did this in Texas when they were running out of water. If he says that you're limited on your usage and he puts in a mandate of usage order, that's
no
within,
watering lawns as an example.
yeah, no watering at lawns is an example. Obviously the farmers have to have water to, most of their water comes from tanks or wells and all that other stuff. But whatever comes from a water supply, until the main solution can be implemented, it may cause us some constraints. And to Joe, your point of a community that is very accustomed to wanting things a certain way or having it. So, yeah, we had to make...
They have an expectation. When I turn on my little knob for my water, it comes out.
That's right.
And let me tell you something. That's not that's not like crazy. Because
No, it's not.
That's the way things have been. I've been living in Meade County for 25 years. I've been in Doe Valley the entire time. We've never turned on the knob and then water didn't come out.
And we've also haven't had the leadership until now that could see forecast and
You're
have
talking about
conversations.
Doe Valley wide, though, right? You're not talking about like a.
You're talking
you had
Meade
a
County
main
wide.
break
Well, I'm
or
not
whatever.
You're talking about
Yeah.
Meade County wide. People
I'm
who've
not
had...
talking about when Bubba digs up my water line and busts it all over the place. And of course, the water's off in the
Oh
house.
yeah.
Well,
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
That's
We've
clarifying.
had that happen before, too.
But what I'm saying is that there's no expectation. We should not have an expectation that somebody's going to snap their fingers and this is gone. This goes back to the same reason why we all got behind the people that ran for office, is because we have an infrastructure problem. Whether it's just now raising its head, right, as the bigger problem of things that need to be worked around and fixed so that we have a way ahead for the bigger growth that's going to happen to our county. And this is what we need to put all hands on deck. I agree with you. Troy's biggest thing is he's probably going to need to do some weekly press releases. I think that's a way. Maybe we get him in here on the podcast and share what he's doing. We do a live interview at the judge's office, or, we made a promise too as Meade Truth to get out there and get in front of a lot of this stuff that's going to impact our county as a ways to help him make his office transparent.
Yep.
Now, I ran into the guy tonight. I want to say it's WVHS or something like that. They do WVIH, and they're under
Gene
contract.
Webster.
Yeah, they're under contract to do all the live broadcasts for these live events, and they're going to do more of them. They're going to have to under the contract they have with them. But so too, can we be there at some of these? We've got this portable setup, so we can ask tough questions and hold them accountable. And I think we owe that to prove the Republican Party's commitment to the county, that, we're not just a whole bunch of good old boys trying to take over the county like it may have been at one time. and Judy even mentioned this. She couldn't even get a job unless she registered as a Democrat. You know what I mean?
True.
And we're not trying to take over the county as a Republican. Well, we are, but we're not. We're just citizens that believe in a certain set of values. And while we may be mixed, I mean, we are a melting pot. That's what the country was built on.
I was asked tonight, hey, is there room in the Republican Party for other people? And I'm like, listen, it's about comes down to principles, right? It doesn't. It's not about whether or not you were registered as a Democrat for 30, 40 years of your life, or as a Republican or not. It comes down to principles. Your principles are going to dictate whether or not you can be supported as a candidate, or you can be, or if
we've spoke to so many Democrats during this last race.
Yeah.
That they feel let down. I mean, they feel let down by their party and some of the choices of their party. And what's really impacted them may not so much.
How about the principles of their main party? That's the killer part of it. And it's, yes, there's room.
Yep.
It's a big tent.
There's three components to the current angst that's ongoing within our listening audience right this second. The first one is a technical problem, and neither of us at this table can really get their hands around it and grasp it and explain it really quickly and easily to people. I'd like to know, what is our capacity for bringing in water from Hardin County District Water number 1? Can we bring in 10,000 gallons a minute? Can we bring in 100,000 gallons a minute? What is the capacity?
Yeah, I don't know
That's going to be part of the mathematical calculation when it's going to take for us.
I don't think it needs to come to us, though, as much as it needs to make sure that the people who need to know that know that.
Well, there's people that,
and that's what I think Troy's going to do. Is he's going to ask that question.
Know that,
Yeah, but you can't keep building infrastructure based on a system that you think is going to work. You need to build infrastructure based on a system that you know works.
Well, I'm not ready to build anything.
I understand that, but they've spent millions of dollars expanding water lines. If you know right now that the ugly head has just raised itself up, that the supply capacity is not available to the county of Meade County based off of what has just happened, then why are we spending millions of dollars of adding new customers, which is what we need to do? But we also need to do this, or whatever that problem is, because it's raising its ugly head.
It's putting the cart before the horse.
There's a lot of background to this. There's a whole lot of background.
Yeah.
Like
I want to get to your 3 points, though. You were saying there's 3 points to the Republican Party, but you started talking about the water. We were talking about the Republican Party and Democrats, and we got room for Democrats and the party based on values and stuff. And you went back to...
If a Democrat has the technical capacity, the ability to communicate, and then understanding the leadership that it takes to make all these little things come together, I'm for the Democrat. But I'm telling you, this is not a Democrat-Republican issue today.
No.
This right here is simply going to be, our judge executive is going to have the leadership capacity to do this.
Which he does.
We believe he does. I mean, I wouldn't have supported him. I wouldn't have given him money. I wouldn't have voted for him. I mean, I'm telling you that I believe he has that capacity.
You're saying to our audience that if you have the capacity, whether you had a Democratic point of view, but if you have the capacity to share the same values as us and the beliefs, then we got room for you in the tent. That's one of your points. Is that correct?
Well, this problem that we're having, we're talking about water, okay? We're talking about the shortage right now. There's problems.
We switched. We're not talking about water anymore. We were talking about room in the tent.
Let's give him 2 minutes to give him our 3 points.
3 points is leadership is the first thing we've got to have. And the second part about leadership is you got to communicate. You got to have to convince people that we're not lying to them. See, right now, I believe that the Meade County Water District is not telling me the whole truth. He just read it to me.
I can respect those feelings. I can respect those feelings.
That's not the case. That right there is a big problem. Just my understanding of that not being the case is a problem.
If I was to do the Spock thing, I would say your logic is sound. I based on what you provided as evidence, in the conversation, I would say that logic is sound. You are left to believe that there is something else out there hanging that they're not telling us.
And it could be a water main busted out in Painville. We haven't discovered it for 2 days or 3 days. Okay, well that's reasonable. That sounds like something that could happen, right? What can we do in the future? Maybe we don't have to build new lines or new towers.
But your frustration lies around communication.
Well, that's the main problem.
Okay.
And then, of course, then after we get done providing the leadership, we get done providing we have to communicate, talk to people. You got to repeat the truth 60,000 times. You can't just sit there and say, "Well, I've already told you that answer yesterday. Nothing's changed between yesterday and today." Yes, there has. You just got to tell me now. You got to tell them again. You got to say the same thing again and again and again. You got to keep repeating yourself, and you can't be you can't be defensive about repeating yourself. You're a public servant. That's what you got to do. And so what I'm getting to is that the third component of that is in making sure if we do need a new water tower for Meade County Water District, if we do need to make Doe Valley go back and build their own water system in Doe Valley and start drinking out of the lake again, which is what most of us want to do in Doe Valley because we own the lake now. I mean, it's free water.
So y'all should pay for the dam.
No.
It's your dam.
Yeah, well,
Corps of Engineers built the dam. Corps of Engineers is involved in that. That's going to be a Corps.
no, that's because they're involved in all damming of all.
I don't know. You opened it up. Speaking of dams,
you got to be careful where you're going with that.
Hey, speaking of
we
dams,
want this and we want that.
Hey,
but nah, that's not our problem.
Corps of Engineers
That's what you're
joke,
saying.
just for some humor here. I was in West Virginia for quite some time. West Virginia is a great state. All states are great states. They have some natural beauty to every state. I don't care which state you're in. But the one interesting fact, did you know there's a couple of dams in the United States that were never named? Dams are always named after the town that they bury when you build a dam by the Corps of Engineers. And the interesting part of West Virginia is there's the Summersville Dam, which most people know because it's got the white water. It leads to the Bridge Day, takes you down the New River Gorge. It all pours in from that dam. Huge water table there, and it's called the Summersville Dam. The reason why it's named the Summersville Dam is because the Corps of Engineers couldn't name it after the town that's buried 300 feet underwater that divers go to all the time because it's a neat dive spot. It's a very deep lake. I mean, you're at the mountaintops and way down below, right? And the reason why it is not named after the town is because the town's name was Gad, G-A-U-D. You can Google this. This is a true fact. And the Corps of Engineers did not want to be responsible for calling their dam the Gad Dam. And I'll say that it was the Gad. And that's how you say the
That was
town.
G-A-U-D. That's
G-A-U-D.
not how I'd pronounce
That's
that.
not how you would
That
pronounce
was an
it.
executive decision.
but
made
It would be
before our time.
gowd.
But
I would go with to gowd.
Anything to keep
But,
it from
yeah.
a sinful phrase.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, dams are an interesting part of our, and I get it. I got
hilarious,
Corps of
though.
Engineers built it, but
No,
It's
you gotta be careful
unfortunate,
what you
but
say.
hilarious.
Okay, well, we're just going to take 933 right there, and we're going to make it a toll road to get across.
You can
the
do
dam.
that. I said the same thing about the bridge. When you cross
I
the
don't think
bridge,
the
hold
governor's
on.
going to like that.
The bypass.
We don't care.
I even suggested this. What a way to bring revenue to Meade County. That
That's all right.
bypass was
We're
built.
just going to toll every road that goes into Doe
Hold on.
Valley.
But even to come into Meade County, the bypass was built to help hazmat materials not go through Louisville. So you could bypass and come back down and jump on 65 and go south. So you could come off of the east-west 64, drop down through Corden, and then across our bridge.
Brandenburg, all the way
Yeah,
across the
on the
Bank Road
bypass to 313.
65, yeah.
And I often said, why don't they put it? That would be genius. Then you can widen the bridge and do all kinds of other stuff. But anyway, who am I?
Well, eventually that's going to be something we have to deal with in the future. Is that bridge that goes on
Especially with
between
the
the bypass?
That bridge
The
was a
grainer.
toll bridge.
It's going to need to be a 4-lane road.
yeah,
eventually at some
especially with
point.
if we get a
And
grainer.
we're
The bridge,
talking
you're
about
talking about,
big
you're talking about
money.
what? You're talking about
Brandenburg Bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, so it used to be toll bridge. It was like 60.
Well, there used to be a ferry that went across because I
Yeah.
went to the other side and we went and visited that when the ship was, it was way too crowded to go see the ship that came, the USS whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it was just way too crowded. We couldn't even get over there. So Vicky and I went to the other side of the of Brandenburg and went across the river, and we drove down there and hung out by the bank, and we took all the pictures we wanted to. Saw the crowds. It was amazing. Views. And I'm sitting there going, this is interesting. This is where they ferried across, you know. And we still have a couple of those down on the Green River at the national park near
I
Mammoth.
my dad told me stories about when they would take the ferry across there. I mean, he wasn't from Meade County, but he was down here a lot.
Yeah.
It was only a lifetime ago that it was a big deal. The Ohio River crossing that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean Lewis and Clark? I mean,
Not that far back.
That's a few lifetimes.
well,
That's a few
I mean,
lifetimes.
that was a big deal.
It was.
So anyway, well, I would like to transition a little bit. We talked a lot about the water tonight. I know that's a lot to talk about, but we have a lot of elected officials that swore in tonight. Some new faces and then some old faces. And I'd say that Troy is not the only one that this lays on the back of. I mean, with our new magistrates that are coming in, and then with our old and distinguished magistrates that have been in place, I think they're all ready to get to work. Joe.
I'm sure sure Nancy's getting her more than her fair share of phone calls. Also,
I'm sure.
You know, I don't know about. I can't speak to Steve Meredith, but he's our state senator, and he's probably getting phone calls also. I mean, the phone calls are slinging right now.
But again, it's putting the cart before the horse. Those are the people you're going to go to pay for the solution. They're not going to go out and investigate the solution. That's what Troy's going to do. Troy's just going to ask the question and expect that the water district is going to do their investigation, and they're going to come back with a thorough report of what's going on, why this happened, and you got to get down to what the true root cause is. It can't just be, because in my business we talk about 5 whys, right? Why did this happen, right? So why we woke up in the morning, why isn't there water pressure? Well, the first answer to that is, well, there's not enough water in the pipe. Well, why is there enough water in the pipe?
That's right.
Right? And then you go all the way back.
Water in the tank.
We've got all the way back now to say they couldn't fill the water tanks fast enough. Right? Well, there's a why for that.
Well, there's more people now in Meade County using water.
There wasn't much more between December the 20th and December the 30th.
No, I get that argument, Joe. I got it. But somewhere to
we
to
just went through
Mark's point,
COVID where people were all home for months and months,
and we
didn't have a problem.
We didn't have a problem.
Point of objection to that.
We did have some. We had a pressure issue, but we did not have an outage issue over it.
Well, we don't know for sure. Like I said, because why would the Meade County water
COVID
district
was in March as well, so
March
started
April,
in March, April.
Yeah.
We had a lot of rain. We also had a lot of anyway.
The point being is that let's just say I love dealing with percentages. Percentages make sense to me. So if your system is functioning very well at 75%, and I can keep everybody happy, and all of a sudden I drop to 62%. And I'm still keeping everybody happy, but I don't have any backup. My backup room is starting to unravel on me. I need to get more backup. So my point is that Meade County Water has never come up online and said anything about this. They've never been in public. They haven't come to fiscal court and said, you know what? I think we're gonna need an extra over in Flaherty. We need another water tower over there, and y'all need to help us out with that because it's gonna be about $2 million to build it.
I mean,
well, no. They got stockholders too, so I'm going to be wanting to hold Meade County Water accountable too. They got money.
No, they got money, but they don't have stockholders.
Well, I got it, but somebody owns that. It's a business. There's got to be.
No, it's a public.
Well, I got you, but there's an accountability process by the water board, or the
appointed
group
by the judge executive.
Okay.
Approved by fiscal court.
All right.
Yeah, we have oversight. I mean, the fiscal court has oversight.
I got you.
Anyway, let's.
Here's what I wanted to say. First of all, I was trying to go back to all the folks that were sworn in tonight. I also wanted to send a thank you out to all of the previous ones who served.
Yep.
That were serving or served. We didn't get to do a podcast last week and talk about some of that stuff. And I just know that with new incoming, you have outgoing. And while they do these swearing ceremonies, it's not like you get to hear from the outgoing at a swearing ceremony and hear a thank you and all that other stuff. So to all those that were holding office previously, and to all of those that have now assumed office, I just thank you for your service. It's a commitment to serve, especially if you listen to the swearing in 500 times. I was kind of interested in the swearing in, not to take away from my focal point here. I just want to say from one who has served to another who is served, whether it's political or volunteer, it is a tremendous amount of effort to want to serve the public. And to Joe's point, a lot of, I don't care that you've told me once and I want to be told again, it is a lot of that. It is a lot of patience. It is a lot of kindness. It is a lot of shared understanding and be able to share a vision and shared understanding. But more importantly, to Joe's point earlier, it is and requires leadership. It requires backbone. It requires to do the right thing always and in the best interest of the people, no matter how many people may not like it, if it's for the greater good. And you're never going to please anybody all the time. So to those who have left us, we want to say thank you for the work you've done and for the service you've given. And to those who have elected, be sure and be aware that we will also hold you equally accountable.
We're watching.
Regardless of party lines.
That's right.
That we want you to do what's in the best interest. And an interesting part of the swearing in tonight was for the sheriff. It's the do good swear in. And I honestly think that they all should have done the do good, because regardless of wealth or poverty,
Yeah, I was thinking it feels like it applies.
it applies to all of these positions. That's right. There should be no political favor. And I joke, I joke because Billy, I know you're going to listen to this, because he picks on me. He thinks I'm like the Pauly Shore dude because I let my hair grow out curly. And I told him, I said, hey, I got a political favor for you. And I'm just kidding. So take this for what it's worth. I want to drive a combine during harvest season. And he laughed at me. And all he could think of was Son-in-Law, the movie where Pauly Shore's in it. And I joke, and I can take a good rubbing from time to time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lord knows I've taken enough this year during the political season, but I joke. But I really would like to help him during harvest season, because, you know, being a Texan from, ranch lands and stuff, I've done my share of cattle drives and some other stuff, but farming has always fascinated me, and it is a tremendous amount of work. You think you just plant those seeds and let them grow and then come back and get your wares?
more
No,
to it than
there's a lot of sweating that goes on.
Oh yeah,
especially when droughts come in and
It
everything
used to be
else.
when I was young, we would, our summer work was, going out bringing in hay and tobacco and all that, and it was farm work. you
Yeah.
know. I don't see as much of that anymore, I guess, but it's I guess a lot of it's because we have machines and stuff that do more. There's not,
But-
we're not doing tobacco much.
No, but that was my political favor, and just not that anybody does political favors.
He laughed you out.
Yeah, he laughed at me and called me Pauly Shore. But I just want to say that I know, Mark, we had talked about that. You as the chair of the party, people do service regardless of what party you are. It's not easy.
It's not. It's not easy, but it's worth it. I mean, it's like you get to get to see how the processes are working and who's and how you can affect people's lives, and you have to take that with a lot of you have to take that very seriously and that responsibility very seriously, whether it's political office or helping people get it in the political office. You're trying to make sure you get the right people in the right places, and you're trying to make sure you get the right support. Sometimes you find out that maybe it's not the right person or things like that, but you have to I think that right now we've got a really good set of candidates, a lot of all the winners. I think that they're going to do really, really good work, but now they get to prove it.
That's
Now
right.
They have to prove it over the next 4 years. They have to show us that we weren't wrong. And
Well, I know the paper is going to hold them accountable. I mean, they already wrote an article last week for not saying thank you, but I mean, and they should be worried about institutions like the paper or the radio station or news media, and even us as a little pop-up. Anybody else who has a voice in the county who wants to say something, they got to listen.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, hopefully we're not going to go out and just be picky and pick on every little thing. I mean, we want to make sure that we're talking
right.
about issues that they can actually do something about. We're not going to hold them accountable because they didn't say they didn't know hold the door open for somebody as they walk up to the door or
if you're
something.
having a question about your water right now, I would recommend not calling your magistrate. I mean, you should call your magistrate often. I love calling your magistrate. You should get in touch with your magistrate. You and your magistrate should be communicating. That's a great thing for the citizens to do. But Billy cannot fix the water, okay? I mean, the judge executive is going to be in a situation where he can communicate and influence and pressure the people who can fix this problem.
But again, he's not going to be able to fix it tomorrow.
Correct.
It's going to take time to understand what the real problem was.
Which he said he would do when he took this
exactly.
office.
But it's going to be for everything. That's how it's always going to be.
Right.
Just the fact that this raised its head is just going
This
to
is
be
a
an
big
example.
issue, and it's an emotional.
Yeah.
A lot of people are very emotional about this. Okay.
Well, yeah, because everybody's
I can hear
home. Everybody's home. I mean, a lot of
hear it.
times when
Not
people
for
go to
me.
work,
I don't take a shower once a week. Fridays is my day.
We can smell.
I can wait.
We can smell.
I mean, it's a big deal when you go to your refrigerator and you can't get water out of your refrigerator. Yeah,
that's
of course, back in the day,
You
back
went- you went to the siphon pump.
You went to the pump and pumped it out of the ground and you just drank it. So there's a lot of people. I mean, we have a water softener, water filter on our house, but one thing I didn't add was
We just can't get off of water tonight.
We can't.
We shouldn't, though. We shouldn't. This is
Well, no, but
we
actually,
should. I mean,
but there's other issues. I know that there's an issue.
This affects you more than anybody at this table for some reason. Joe.
So I talked to the girls. I introduced myself.
We can talk about Ukraine, too.
listen.
Ukraine's a big issue, okay?
So I'm just going to mute their mics. No, I'm just kidding. All right, hold on.
He turns this off.
I totally. So talked to the girls tonight that help the judge executive's office. They work there and support the judge executive. And actually, there's a lot more than just water on the table. I know that there's other issues related to the seat of the judge executive, related to some zoning ordinances and some other ordinances that are about to go into effect. That these people got to clean up their yards based on some of these zoning.
Well, I mean, there's a lot
ordinances.
of questions about the quarry.
Yeah,
and the zoning and issues out there with the quarry.
They had
stuff,
discussed that too, and Troy had come live on that on the talk show. He's very concerned about whether or not the quarry gets more land and if it encroaches on farms or impacts that stuff. So I'd be interested to see how he tackles that coming in. But I mean, he has more than water on his plate coming in the gate, and I think you're going to get to see Troy's true colors. And if anything, I just hope he gets a good. A good representation and a communication strategy that gets out to the people so that they can make their own interpretation about him versus a single voice.
That is one thing. I mean, it's a lot of these positions, especially in small rural America, like Meade County, is we talked about communication earlier. Those positions don't really exist in these small rural communities. Nobody's thinking about how am I going to say this? I'm just going to tell people, right? And then it's like, well, now. But not everybody is getting the same information. It's getting out to multiple locations, and I'm not talking about just water. I'm talking about with anything, right?
Yeah.
So so that is something that Troy's going to have to kind of work through how that communication happens, and and maybe at some point they have to look at that as a whole for the whole county government. Is who's communicating what, how's it being communicated, and is that something they need to. Was that a position they need to come up with at some point? Is how do we make sure that it's all happening?
So have you guys gone up the bypass? You're coming around the bend where you can either turn right and go over to the Meade County Recycling, or you keep going up like you're going to go up to Kroger's, right? Yeah. Now, does it not disturb you when the wind is blowing and that one light that's got like 4 lights on it starts swinging like this crazy, going everywhere? I'm terrified every time I drive under that light. Well, what would it have actually cost to put the bottom cable across that to keep it from swinging every time the wind blows? From looking like, I swear that thing's going to fall off. It's going to fall right in somebody's car. You know what I'm saying? But there's a ton of issues besides these. The small ones are going to ankle bite.
That's something. I'll tell you what. That's something that that's a conversation my wife and I have every time we go through there when it's windy.
Right?
She's like, "Oh man," she goes, "That just bothers me so much."
It's one swing away from it taking out.
I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's all good." It's just
that thing would smash through the roof of a car and take.
Well, I mean, the old ones definitely. The old ones were heavy. The newer ones are. If you get the LEDs. They last longer. There's not as much to them. The power supplies are smaller, so you don't have as much weight.
So that's probably why they're swinging around like they are.
Yeah, there's not as much weight to hold them down.
He can talk about this coherently and technically. He's a techno dude. This is what he does. Okay, but like I said, we just can't talk about the water issue that way. I mean,
I can talk about the water issue. I'm background in hydraulics. I can take you all the way from the pumping station to the pipelines and then the reduction. Sections so that you don't blow lines from pressure, all of that stuff.
Make sure you give your recommendations to the judges.
I ain't giving no recommendations because he needs to identify
that's not our place.
Problem. So yeah, you know what? And you called me the other day saying you need to talk. I ain't talking. I'm not. I was Troy's campaign manager. I'm not his advisor or anything. He has the entire crew of people at his disposal to inform him and keep him ready to go.
And that started today around 5:30.
That's right.
That's right. So now he's the guy.
He's the guy.
Now we're going to see how he goes, and I'm expecting big things and good things from Troy.
Absolutely.
And if it's not, we'll talk about it on here.
In the seat tomorrow morning?
No, the courthouse. He'll probably go in there. I'm sure because I know I talked to Susan. Susan and Judy are gonna kind of move some things around, the fade away because the court's closed. And I'm sure.
But Judy is cooperating in the crossover. But I mean, Judge Stith doesn't have time for this. Okay.
No, I'm not going to.
I'm not going to get into all that.
What I'm saying is that what does he go in the office tomorrow and become judge executive, or is it on
he
the
became
31st?
judge? No, listen, this is just like any command in the military. When he swore in today, he's it. That phone's ringing all night long. It's ringing all morning, all day. He doesn't need to be in the office to be the judge. He's the judge.
That's not what I was told, but that I mean, I'm fine with that.
But I don't. As far as like moving out of office, that doesn't stop Troy from being the judge. Moving into the office.
Hold on. If somebody's in his office, we need to get him out.
Well, that's a different situation, but I'm sure that'll be taken care of over the weekend. I'm not getting into the nitnoid of that.
No, I am getting the nitnoid of it. I'm saying to you, does he officially take the office on 1 January, or is it on January the 29th?
He took office today.
My understanding is when he swore in, he swore in.
But the court is the offices are closed, so maybe Leslie planned to come in tomorrow. He probably did it today because his payroll probably stops today because he's no longer on payroll. I don't know. I really don't care. What I care about are the same things that you care about and the work that needs to be done. Where he sits.
Are you saying the judge executive's office was closed today?
No, it's closed tomorrow.
Okay.
So Leslie could have already had his stuff in his little, how you see people when they leave their office, they got a little box and got the plant and their face card. He probably walked out today and he probably did some prep work. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to condemn the man. It's hard to leave. It's hard to leave position.
I'm not condemning anybody. What I'm saying is that if that's what you're telling me is the truth, you're saying you factually know that the Meade County government is closed tomorrow. That's a big problem.
Why?
Because Meade County is in the throes right this second of a crisis.
That doesn't mean that
it doesn't mean that business doesn't happen. It just means that
what it
doesn't
mean is everybody takes a day off. That's what it doesn't mean.
That's what I just said. Troy is available. He doesn't need to be sitting in an office to get stuff done. Troy's phone is on 24/7. He's a judge executive. What is the difference between him sitting in that office getting stuff done, or him driving over to the Meade Water District, or him picking up the phone and making phone calls from his house? He's doing it when the office, that building is closed. Does Troy have a set of keys yet? I don't know. He's probably got to go through some type of in-processing, get access to the building so he can access his. You're bringing up stuff I don't even. That's minutia. It doesn't limit his capability to be the judge, because whether or not the doors are open for that building.
What I'm saying is he has to give everybody the understanding. He has to create the illusion that he's in charge.
Okay, well, he did that tonight when he swore in front of God and everybody, and it was broadcast live, and we're sitting here talking about it. That's what an inauguration is, Joe. You think he needs to be sitting at a desk pounding his chest?
No.
All right, then.
Why would I
well,
think
I mean, that's the picture you're painting.
No, the picture I'm painting is I asked a simple question. I said, when is the official turnover?
It happened tonight.
By law in the KRS. This is in the KRS.
By 1 January.
I can't quote it to you right now, but I can look it up later.
You mean by 1 January?
Is it 1 January? Or
it probably
is.
The PVA was earlier. Okay, by law. It was earlier.
Yeah, because it's considered.
It wasn't like, well,
it follows the state.
Can you do it to this day or this day? It was set by law.
Well,
but it follows the state. It doesn't follow county.
That's correct.
The convenience of the situation that you're in right now is that they did a swearing. I can speculate at this point. I don't know the facts.
They needed the judges to do that.
The court is closed. The building, the government offices are closed. It's publicized. Here, let me look it up. I'm gonna just to satisfy. So like I was saying. I was talking about Judy and Susan. They're planning on, getting their stuff cleaned up, moving around so that Susan can set up her office and Judy's office. And it's a very amicable. I mean, Judy has worked with Susan for years. It's very simple. But in the situation of a judge and a judge, I don't know. I can't speculate that.
I mean, I would almost expect that they'd probably
work something out.
They've probably already worked it out and had it done a long time ago.
Well, or they're doing it this weekend out of sight, out of mind of individuals. With a courtesy to Leslie to do what he needs to do, and a courtesy to Troy to then set up the space. You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure Troy's not going to run out to go get his photo taken and have his picture painted so he can hang it up outside of the door. None of that stuff. I mean, Joe, you're making it sound like it's a big old deal.
I think Joe was saying that. I think Joe's thing is that this water thing needs to be fixed tomorrow.
No.
That's what it
The
sounds
fix-
like.
the-
Nobody can take a day off
Hold
because
on,
Joe
let
doesn't
me
have
back up.
water.
When I say fixed, okay, I'm not talking about water. I'm talking about communication. That
Yeah.
needs to be fixed right now, tonight, tomorrow morning, as soon as possible. Not after my 3-day weekend is over, not after the January 1st holiday is over and I get to watch football all day. It needs to get fixed now. We talk about leadership, right? Are we talking about leadership? Leaders don't say, well, you know what? The offices are closed and we're taking the weekend
I didn't
off.
say that. What I said.
I didn't say you said that, but I'm just telling you that's not what happens. What happens is that we got to get in front of this issue, communications wise.
Yeah,
And the first thing that he has to do is has to figure out what the heck happened.
Well, they need to change the
Hey,
website then too, because Leslie's picture's still on there.
Well, yeah, that's going to take a day or two.
They're closed tomorrow, so
Yeah, it's not going to happen until Monday,
let's see. Local government.
Tuesday probably, because they'll probably be off Monday too, right?
Meade County Government Directory office list.
Are you getting? I can't get the Meade County, the main directory to come up. It says it's like
I can't either. It's all
I can only get into the individual offices.
local government resident. Welcome visitors. Let's see. Are we
Parks and
open?
Recreation.
All the viewers want to know how come I don't have my own laptop here, man. That's what you two got laptops.
You could have come with a laptop.
Yeah,
Mark came with
I
his.
purchased mine.
Yeah. Here, you want me to get you a laptop? You got your phone on you?
No, I don't.
Well, listen, everybody, I just want to say from all of us, we had a great Christmas party for the Republican Party. We had
We did.
4 or 5 public officials.
We had 4 of the governor candidates that came and spoke.
That was live on our previous episode.
It's right, and I thought it was really well. I mean, we had some technical difficulties with the broadcast, but once
I
we got it up,
volunteered to do this. I'm not a.
That's right. But I'm not trying to call you out or anything. I'm just trying to.
I can take it.
I'm just saying that we had a little bit of issue.
Tough to find good
But man,
volunteers.
it came in right. It came in perfectly
Right at the right time for the
at the right
governors.
time. I mean, me talking, nobody needs to hear me talk anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I do wish that we would have gotten more of like Nancy and Steve out on the podcast, but. All in all, I was very happy with it. A lot of people spoke about, a lot of people talked to me and said, man, we got some really good, strong candidates for governor. And we only heard from 4 of them.
Well, Daniel Cameron stuck around to do an article with the paper too, which I thought was smart of him and his campaign.
Yeah, I think it hit the paper today. So
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Well, no, it didn't. I mean,
It did.
I think
It's in
the
Thursday's
today.
paper.
well, it just.
You couldn't miss it. He was getting a photo taken with the editor.
Well, what the article said was that in the next week's paper is going to be more about what they talked about.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So this
It
was more of a
it was
prelude.
This is like an announcement that there was.
I gotcha.
A meeting and there was a interview. It wasn't. I guess it probably happened too late for them to actually make the paper.
I don't know. I heard my understanding was the interview happened
Same time he was in town.
prior to right before the dinner.
Well, don't get me trying to dog on the Meade County Messenger and their proceedings.
Oh no, we're not dogging on
We're
them.
not dogging on them at
I think
all.
it was
I said
good that they
that-
had. I think
Obviously,
it's really good that they
it
had the
takes them
interview.
3 weeks to publish
I
the
thought it
interview,
was
then
smart.
they
Of
had
all the candidates, they were in town. They should have taken the opportunity to utilize the local media. Daniel Cameron took great advantage of it.
Yes,
That's all I said.
yes. I thought that was a good move, and
Complimentary.
yep.
I mean,
yep.
It's not every it's not every day that you get somebody that was a number 2 on the list for potential for Supreme Court from a president, sitting president, and then get them to interview them
Our
in your
ex-president
local.
has actually endorsed him for governor too. So, just FYI.
Which honestly, from the last elections, is a good thing and a bad thing in certain states.
Yeah, it's starting to become less of a good thing. Unfortunately, I mean it's because
I want to know which of our governor candidates are willing to stand up to Senator McConnell. Which one of them are going to be actually have enough intestinal fortitude to say that our senior senator has really let us down, that has made it extremely expensive tactical error in how he handled the budget for the 2023.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to wonder, how much of, we talk about, we talk about Joe Biden and his age, but Mitch McConnell is about close to the same age. And I'm starting to wonder. It's like I don't get. I mean, I'm not trying to. I think that Mitch McConnell's done a lot of good for Meade County, for Kentucky, Meade County.
I'm for that.
For the country.
I'm a Godfather fan.
Yeah, but at the same time, I scratch my head about a lot of these things that he does. I mean, why did he go along with this omnibus? It's a head scratcher. I mean, because he basically cut every negotiation, out for the next 7 months. Mm-hmm. So 7 months of Republicans have the majority in the House of Representatives, and he basically just sold out 7 months worth of negotiations where we could actually, get some of our things done at the same time, so there can actually be compromise.
I'm not a cynical person by nature. I think he did it because he's afraid that the House will actually close the government down, and he doesn't want the government closed down. Generally speaking, he believes we lose when the government gets shut down. And I'm saying I'm not sure that that's the case anymore. I think that the country is maturing to the point where they realize that compromise is actually a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. Just because the Democrats control the media, control the popular culture, they have to actually compromise too. Like TOO, also, they need to do that, and we need to make them do that. And if they won't do that, then we need to say, well, they're not compromising. I mean, I came halfway, and they wouldn't come even a tenth of the way.
Yeah.
And so, guess what? We're going to have to shut the government down because we can't make up our mind. We can't decide.
But at that point, we're not shutting the government down. The Democratic Party is. It's just the media says that it's the Republicans who won't give. But the Republicans keep giving, and the Democrats don't.
At some point, this whole cycle has to stop. And I think that's Senator McConnell.
We'll see.
Is not helping that along.
I'm not going to disagree with any comment you said on that. I think that politically, when you start getting at the national level, there's a lot of politics. I mean, it's relational. I think sometimes they forget, and I could make my own speculations about that stuff, but
sometimes they forget.
Sometimes they forget
Systemically.
Well,
they have forgotten.
When there's millions of dollars waved at you behind the scenes, and, you're going from a pauper to a, you're going 15 mansions across the,
now you're talking about a felony. Now, I mean,
I'm just saying.
What I'm getting to.
Well, so there was an actual study. Listen,
we've mortgaged it way.
I want to tell you, I watched a thing the other day, specifically talking about us as a party screwing up and where the Democrats have done so well at. They have done so good at 501(c)(3)s. They have figured it all out. And that they get these 501(c)(3)s, they can raise all the money that they want to, and then they can funnel money into campaigns. They figured a lot of things out. Technologically, we are way behind the power curve. I remember where I got this from. This was on a news cast that we're talking about the next candidates for running the GOP. And one of them that spoke, female candidate, I'm not going to quote her name, but she intelligently spoke to the things that we were getting our butts kicked at. And she's not wrong.
No.
Now, look at the PAC that was developed in Kentucky to go against the Amendment 2. And I mean, we're talking millions of dollars, well beyond the means.
Over $11 million spent in Kentucky
in advertising
against Amendment 2. Lied 100%. Their entire campaign was a lie.
Yep, and that information flowed to citizens of Kentucky, and they had nothing else to counter the argument.
Because there's not an organization on the opposite side of that.
Nope. And they'll set these up, they'll fund them, and streamline money in through other states to counter an objective for their national whatever New World Order. But anyway,
how do you feel about it's the same discussion? The Democrats obviously have done a better job than we have for a generation or more at harvesting votes, at being able to
that is a tough one for me.
In the states where it's legal, to be able to ensure that all their voters get the opportunity to vote. and they've gone out of their way. They have volunteer organizations that are dedicated to this. Okay, voter outreach programs and things. And I'm not talking about just going to the nursing homes and filling out ballots for old people. I'm talking about just they have the processes streamlined.
Yeah, are you registered to vote? Nope. Oh, let me register you right now. Oh, go on ahead right here. I know you know.
They're paying those people to
I
do
know
that.
you don't plan on voting, but if you're registered to vote, we'll make sure you get your ballot cast.
Yeah, these are all done through through the same 501c3s that he's talking
Exactly. And
Yeah, I know.
it's all
That's what I'm
interrelated.
Yeah, and then they spend their time casting ballots for those individuals on behalf of those individuals.
Part of the post-election analysis has been there's a growing number of Republicans that are saying, "Hey, look, we need to give up our philosophical and our legal objections to this, and we need to just go ahead and start doing it better than the Democrats. We just need to get better."
I think that's definitely a segue into a future episode. And so what I'd like to do is definitely kind of close us out here a little bit. We've been going for...
I thought we just got started, man. Come on.
Did not get started, Joe. We've been here for some time now. But
We've been here since 7 o'clock.
if you watch all of this, I hope you had fun or some level of entertainment. If you missed it and you're just catching the end, or you fast forwarded the beginning where there was no sound, somewhere in the middle was a really good joke. And
Yeah.
if you could just chat what the joke was in there, we'll reach out to you personally and try to get you on the show. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I will tell you, though, it was a good joke. But for tonight's discussion, a lot of things, and we're counting on our newly elected officials to get to work. Mark, I'll let you close us out.
I think the important thing to take right now is, hey, we're getting ready to go into a new year. It was really important that we allow these new folks to get into place. They need to work. They need to work for us. And then if they don't, we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold them accountable on this show, and we're going to hold them accountable, at the election time. So I believe that we've got the great, we've got some of the best candidates that we could possibly have, and that they're going to work hard for all of Meade County. But we're going to always going to pay attention and keep on watching.
And to that end, we are always going to provide you the truth as well. So with that truth comes our ability to clarify some things and then show you what some of those tough decisions will be for those folks and how it impacts the lesser and the greater good of the county, so that you can either decide it was a good decision or a bad decision from our elected officials. And we've talked about that a lot, and hope to talk to you more about it in the future. You guys have a great night. We will see you next year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Good night.